inspiration behind any of these.
No, this is pure aesthetics.
Yeah, these are pure aesthetics. Charlotte's
like
is
Houston
just so
bringing back the pinstripes. I don't know. You don't see those but do you see many color fade jerseys in the NBA? I think that's what's cool about the Charlottes is that the transition from the deeper blue to the lighter teal, like that's just, it's unique to me because we don't see it.
I think sort of the bee Hornet hive element at the top ruins that for me. I'd rather see that papered all the way down, extended. That might make it look better.
I disagree because it would just get lost in the court because they use that honeycomb court.
Yeah, I don't know. I hate it. I think Charlotte's is bad. Like I said, if the honeycomb, I call it the beehive stuff. Like if that went further down, I'd probably like it more. I'm not a big fan of when you're not using a lot of the space that's available to you. So like even could the Charlotte be written? Like, does it have to be in that script that's going diagonal?
It is a little bit busy up top, but and still not liking Charlotte. I'm gonna pull a Dan here. That might be your worst take ever.
Fair enough. I liked those. I think it was Mike Vigil of the Timeline podcast called it one of the most gentrified NBA jerseys he's ever seen, where it was like the Mavs cartoony text, and I enjoyed it. I agree with you. So if I had to pick like my clear W's, and I think that's what was my issue here, is that there are jerseys that I'm ultimately fine with. Where the Rockets one is cool, but like I kind of miss like that huge old school rocket ship on it. So there are jerseys that I'm fine with, but the actual wins, Atlanta's is great.
Atlanta's is great.
I really, really like the Raptors one. You could quibble over maybe you don't like that gold-black color scheme, but I love having that actual Raptor.
It's the OVO element, so I at least get it.
The Spurs one is fantastic. It's minimalistic, but the color pattern is just
the throwback
awesome.
To the Alamo jerseys from the early 2000s. Yeah.
And I wouldn't call these clear W's because they're repetitive basically, but they're solid. I like both the Suns and Utahs. Those are fantastic.
Throw Golden State in there.
No.
Golden State's is great because it's playing off of their typical city jersey, which just has one of the better alternate logos in the NBA, and the addition of the lightning on the sides, I think is pretty eye-catching. I like those.
The lightning is creative. You could have been more creative with the rest of the jersey. I'm also just them, the Knicks, the Celtics. Like, let's see them take more chances. And I'm really saying this to the Celtics and the Knicks. Like, take more chances here. Like, these jerseys are always just so...
But don't take as many chances as the Heat, because those are garbage.
I respect the attempt, though. And no, I don't think...
It was just bad.
I don't think this one came out well, but I like it better than I like New York's or Boston's. I like it better than Charlotte's. The other one that I love Orlando's, is great. I love just the orange in there, the way that they have the star representing as the Magic and even as the dot, like annotation on the eye. And I like the orange and the black, and plus those orange pinstripes coming down on the black. I think they hit a home run here too. I think we can all agree that Dallas might have perhaps one of the three worst jerseys here.
It's not great. OKC's is bad.
It's it's clearly the worst.
I think it's the worst.
I don't even know how.
We haven't mentioned
Alexei Pokusevski's gonna look like he's naked whenever he's wearing it.
We haven't mentioned the Lakers, but I would put them near the top too. I really like how they're keeping the purple from the purple and gold, but also paying homage to the blue from the Minneapolis era. I think it looks really clean with that old school, but also new school font on the number with the drop shadow. It just looks really good.
I agree with the drop shadow on the number. I'm just not a fan of like, we're pulling the name logo all the way up to the top and it's just not taking up like enough space for me. But they're one of the better ones. They weren't among my favorites. And I don't have an issue with Philadelphia's is fine. Minnesota's is fine. I'm not the biggest fan of like the Clippers is, even though I kind of like the color scheme. I don't like the pure white with only the slight, orange, like creamsicle outline text for the numbers. I don't mind the Bucks either. The sides really.
I like the sides and the Bucks a lot.
Yeah.
I also cannot stand the Pacers. And I've been criticized for this take in the past because I don't like the jerseys that it's based off of that Reggie Miller made famous. But I'm such a sucker for symmetry that like the diagonal stripe just ruins it for me.
The white diagonal stripe, is that what you're talking about?
Just the fact that it's asymmetrical like that jarringly. It's one thing for text, but a different thing for the background.
New Orleans is apropos of its season, which is to say nondescript. Memphis is boring. Detroit's is fine. Rip City's is fine. I don't like Chicago's like that. I feel like I can see my reflection in it even by looking at the image just on the computer. And there's just not enough space taken up. Like the number needs to be bigger. Chicago needs to be bigger, whatever. So there are teams, I don't want to say I'm indifferent to it, but like I'll give them a thumbs up, but I don't think it's out of creativity. I think it's they played it safe and there's value in that. I suppose like Sacramento's is fine to me too, like right in that Lakers tier. I normally see more that stand out and I'm like, oh, I love this. And that really only happened with like half or dozen or so this year.
I think it's tough in some cases, like Washington. I don't think it's the most aesthetically pleasing with the 2 red stripes near the top, but I also get exactly what they're doing, which is having Wes Unseld Jr.'s team give a throwback tribute to the jerseys worn by Wes Unseld and Elvin Hayes and those Washington Bullets.
Wes Unseld Jr., by the way, might be have entered the Coach of the Year chat. Speaking of the awards letter that we did, and I'm not crazy. The sides of Denver's are fine, but like when you look at the text where it's so clunky, it looks like it says like Deaver is basically what I'm reading.
I hate all of it. Like you have, I get. It's another one of those where I understand what you're doing because this is the tribute to the Rainbow Skyline jerseys, but it looks terrible with those jutting outside panels. I can't stand those.
The Nets is fine to me, but like again, it's not as uncreative. Like there's more of a like the throwback harkening to the New Jersey.
I just
days.
Can't look at it and not think of like Drazen Petrovic.
Right, that's a good emotion to invoke. So let's try this. What are your 5 favorite ones?
Phoenix, the Lakers, Atlanta, Houston, and I'm going to go with Charlotte, much to your chagrin.
Wow. So my 5 favorite, we share our interest in Atlanta. The Spurs are there for me. The Raptors are in there. The Magic.
The Raptors were my 6th for what it's worth.
And I have to go between either Utah or Phoenix here as like that last inclusion. I think I'm going to go with Utah's. I really just love the color blend on that, but they could be tied for 5th if you'll allow me to cop out. Like I have 6 in my top 5. What are your 5 least favorite? The 5 absolute worst. And I'm going to tell you right now, Charlotte is in my bottom 5.
I'm going to go with OKC, Oklahoma City.
That's also OKC. Okay. Okay. I see what you're doing.
I think those are by far the worst. New Orleans just doesn't even count, so we'll put them there. I think Chicago's is terrible for the reasons you gave. The Sixers are really bad, and Dallas is going to be my 5th.
So,
but there are a lot of options still. No, I forgot about Miami. I'll drop Chicago for Miami.
I at least like that Miami's is different and stands out. Like I understand it looks like a ransom note. I'm not the first one to say it. It looks like a ransom note. But like I wonder if I would like it even more if like somehow, and I know it's different because these are getting tucked in when players are wearing them, or Chris Paul is going to tell on you if it's not. But like even still, like can we bring that down? Can there be more space between I also just think like there's probably too much, discrepancies in the text and the colors in there, but I at least appreciate the swing. And so I look at these and if I can see in iota, a modicum of creative effort, I can applaud it. And so with that said, I don't like New Orleans's. I don't like OKC's. I do not like Chicago's. Charlotte's is there. My 5th one, I want to say it's the
Your
Knicks
worst take ever.
Because they're perpetually boring. But can we talk a little bit about like how not cool Cleveland's is?
Yeah, because I can't even tell it's Cleveland's.
Right. So it's just like, I don't know. I'm going to throw them in my bottom 5 instead of the Knicks, but I'm just going to say
Cleveland's
Knicks.
Tribute jersey should just be like a picture of LeBron as the logo.
Dallas needs to be in there too. Wow. There's too many bad ones. That's my point. So to Boston, New York specifically, be more like these jerseys got to be more creative moving forward. Like those are the 2 teams that I feel like I'm constantly just disappointed in what their alternates look like.
I think part of that is at least by design with Boston in particular, because the jersey just has never changed and never will change. But with an opportunity like this, you got to take it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, New York's and Boston's were boring as hell. That's my